Everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Adorkable Rachel, and it's time once again for another episode of Rachel Reviews, so let's just hop into it. So I realized recently that we are living in a world where the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been a thing for about 10 years. And this is the 17th film to come out, and the third one starring the Superman of the MCU and famed breaker of coffee cups, Thor.
Another!
But before we go into the review, I want to take a very quick moment to talk to you guys about a company that I'm working with called Stardust. Ever wanted to share your thoughts on movies with the world but don't quite have the resources of a YouTuber? Well, now you can! Stardust is a free app for your phone that allows you to immediately post reactions to movies, TV shows, and trailers and share them online. It's the easiest way to share your reactions, which can be between 3 and 30 seconds long. And it's not just new stuff, there are thousands of movies and TV shows that you can react to. Say what? It works just like Snapchat, but your reactions will stay on your account long after you post them. I've posted my reaction to Thor Ragnarok after seeing it, and whenever I go see a new movie from here on out, I will post my immediate reaction on the same day so you can have a quick taste of what I thought before I put out a full review. And I'll also be reacting to new TV shows and movies every single day with this app, so be sure to follow me on Stardust at Adorkable Rachel. Also, you'll be helping me out a lot if you download the app through the link in the description below, and if I'm the first user that you follow. A really big thank you to the team at Stardust for all their support. I think this app is amazing. Go download it and start reacting. Now, let's get on with the review! In this Thor Central movie, Thor, believe it or not, manages to be captured, trapped, and forced to fight against the Hulk. And Hela, the goddess of death, played by Cate Blanchett, is freed and threatens to take over and completely destroy Asgard. So it's up to Thor to try to get his friends off of the planet he's imprisoned on and stop Hela before their world is gone forever. The Thor movies have had a really interesting history because while they have made money, they haven't done as well as a lot of the other MCU films. So when they were producing the third installment, they decided they had to do something different, and what did they decide to do? Make it more of a comedy. And I knew that's how it was being marketed, but to be very honest with you, I was not expecting to have this much fun with this movie, or to enjoy it so much. Pretty much from beginning to end, I was really into the comedic style, and I was still able to get wrapped up in the action sequences and also root for our hero. Maybe this wasn't the only way they could have changed things around to get people to go see a Thor film, but it definitely was a really smart way to do it. I mean, let's face it, Thor is this really big guy, and he doesn't always know how things are done on planet Earth, and I actually really like in the first Thor movie the moments where he doesn't know our customs, like how to politely ask for a cup of coffee.
Another!
Chris Hemsworth can be very funny, and in this movie it is just so refreshing to see him fully embrace that side of Thor. Even if in this movie Thor is not necessarily on Earth most of the time and he's actually on another planet that's closer to his world, but that's also really fun to watch too. And because of this movie, and maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but you know what? Thor is really quickly becoming one of my favorite MCU characters. But Spider-Man will always be my #1 bae. Wait, are people still using that term? I've never really found Thor to be that interesting of a character in the MCU because he just kind of comes off as this really strong guy that doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses and not a whole lot of faults. And he's kind of invincible, and that's also why I've never really found Superman all that interesting. But here, they actually do find ways to limit Thor's power, and he does have obstacles that he has to overcome. They find a way. They find a way. So in this Thor movie, for once, I was really invested and wanting to know how he's gonna survive all of this. And I'm just gonna say it, Chris Hemsworth is hot in this movie, especially with the cut hair. I could not stop looking at him. I'm usually not really into big beefy guys, but there was just something about Chris Hemsworth and his charm that I could not resist in this movie. So even though this movie did end up going in a more comedic route, I really appreciate that these actors still put up performances that were very true to the characters. Just, you know, with funnier lines and more slapstick and a little bit of a self-awareness to it. The movie was directed by Taika Waititi, who also directed a film called What We Do in the Shadows, which is a very, very funny movie about vampires and just them living amongst us. And it's, again, very self-aware, and I like that he did that kind of thing but with a superhero film. Not in the same mockumentary style, but with the same kind of comedy. And it definitely works. There have been so many different superhero films over the years, whether they be comedy or drama, somewhere in between, and obviously we're gonna get bored if they keep doing the same kind of thing in the MCU, but I actually like that this one almost went in the same direction that Guardians of the Galaxy did, and that it's a comedy before it's an action movie first. Yeah, we've seen this in superhero films before, but not ever with Thor. Cate Blanchett as Hela, the goddess of death, was fantastic in this film. I was a little worried that headdress might be a little bit silly, but she just completely owns it like nobody's business, and she looks great, and she's just a freaking awesome villain. One of the more interesting villains I've ever seen in the MCU. I love these movies, but one of their greatest faults is they kind of sort of tend to have very weak villains. But Hela is not one of those villains. One of my favorite parts about her is that she just has this great confidence about herself. She knows that she's powerful and she believes that she can do no wrong. And we, the audience, get invested in that because at the very beginning of the film, she destroys Thor's hammer. Okay, how is that even possible? Although I also think one of her best superpowers is the power of storytelling because she just loves to tell exposition to anyone who will listen. There's even a scene that I swear is like 3 minutes long where she's just explaining where she came from and why she's been trapped for so long. But to be fair, they also do have some pretty mural pictures to go along with it, so I guess it's alright. Jeff Goldblum was also in this, and not so much as a villain, but just more as an arrogant leader who's unable to recognize people's humanity. But that's also where his funny comes in. And I swear, it is Jeff Goldblum, but at his most Jeff Goldblumiest. The it's like over the top Jeff Goldblum, but again, it's meant to be silly and stupid, so it works. And of course the Hulk is in this, and I actually really do love, I love that this movie does have more focus on him. And I mean on the Hulk, not Bruce Banner. The Hulk is a pretty simple character compared to Bruce Banner, but since he is the Hulk for a good chunk of this movie, we actually finally get to learn a little bit more about the Hulk himself. And yes, of course, Loki's in this movie, and I'll be honest, I don't get it. I don't understand why ladies just go completely gaga for this character. I mean, besides the fact that he's played by Tom Hiddleston, I can understand that much, but really? This guy? Again, he started off as a very weak villain in the MCU, plus that freaking headdress, that's silly. That is really silly. That's really hard to take seriously. And even though he becomes a more interesting villain in the Avengers, I'm still just like, why? Why would you go for this person who wants to take over the universe and wants to kill people? But again, to the movie's credit, they do actually focus on the relationship between him and his brother Thor in this movie, and there's some development in that area. So, okay, yeah, watching him in this movie, it was more worthwhile. This is a very dysfunctional family when you think about it, so it was actually really amusing to watch them butt heads but then also work together at the same time. The movie also looks great. Being a comedy, it does have a lot of color to it, plus it's shot beautifully, it also has some fun music. They actually find a way to play pure imagination for Willy Wonka. I don't know how they did it, but they did. And the movie has a really unique way of combining the serious moments with the comedic moments too. I'd be lying if I said that this worked all the time in the film, because we do have some moments where there's like death going on in one scene and then we go right back to Thor and bright colors and comedy, so tone-wise it can be a little bit confusing, but for the most part it's okay. It didn't bother me that much. Aside from that, if I had to be super critical about anything else in this film, maybe the humor could be a little too immature and kind of feel like middle school humor. Like they actually refer to a portal in the sky as the devil's anus. And normally that would be a little too crude for me, but I was surprised. I actually laughed at this. But maybe that's because the idea was just so absurd and I was so wrapped up in the comedy that I couldn't help but laugh at it. Also, maybe we could have seen Hela a little more in this film, because we do spend quite a bit of time away from her.
Another!
With so many different MCU films out there, I really think that this one knew it had to poke fun at itself. The tone shifts obviously don't work 100% of the time, but it was still very funny and watchable, and I really liked seeing Thor away from our planet for once. And it also allowed us to see more of his world and more of the kind of people and creatures that exist in this universe. I give Taika Waititi huge credit for creating a superhero film that was comedic, epic, investing, not perfect, but certainly a step in the right direction of creating a more unique and enjoyable superhero film. Guys, there is a reason that this movie is getting so much praise. Go and see it on the big screen right now as fast as you can. So those are my thoughts on MCU's Thor Ragnarok, and again, another big shout out to Stardust, and thank you so much again for all of your support. By the way, an added bonus, if you guys want a chance to appear in one of my upcoming videos, be sure to tag me in your reaction after you see a movie or a trailer. And also be sure to follow my Twitter page because I will be announcing ahead of time when an opportunity to tag me is coming up. So now I want to know, did you guys get a chance to see Thor Ragnarok? And if so, what did you think? Do you like the new style? Do you like this new approach to Thor? Do you have any theories as to what that thing was at the very end there? Also let me know, what is your favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe film? Well, go ahead and leave your comments below, be sure to like and share, and if you're new and like what you saw here, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to hit the little bell button down there to get notified when new stuff comes out because I make new videos every week! Bye, Adorkable buddies, I'll see you soon!